Nagorno Karabakh forces agree Azerbaijan demand to disarm. 24 hours after Azerbaijan's army launched an offensive in Nagorno Karabakh, ethnic Armenian forces have agreed Russian terms for a ceasefire. One of the key demands that Karabakh forces have accepted is a proposal for complete disarmament. Some 120,000 ethnic Armenians live in the South Caucasus enclave, recognized internationally as part of Azerbaijan. 3 years ago, Azerbaijan recaptured areas in and around Karabakh and on Tuesday demanded a full surrender. Karabakh officials say at least 32 people have been killed and another 200 wounded since the Azerbaijani military launched what it called anti-terror operations. Azerbaijan's presidency said officials would meet Karabakh's Armenian representatives for talks on issues of reintegration in the Azerbaijani town of Yevlak on Thursday. The town is some 100 kilometers, 60 miles north of Karabakh's regional capital, Kankendi, known as Stepanakert by Armenians. Leaders in the enclave said in a statement that through mediation carried out by Russian peacekeepers, an agreement had been reached on a complete cessation of hostilities from 1300 hours local time, 9 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. However, loud explosions could still be heard in the regional capital just after the ceasefire had come into effect. Karabakh officials appealed to residents to remain in shelters and not try to leave. Under the terms of the truce, local Karabakh forces commit to being completely disarmed and disbanded. There is also a commitment to Armenian forces pulling out, even though Yerevan denies having any military presence there. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has made clear his government was not involved in the ceasefire text, insisting that Russian peacekeepers have full responsibility for the safety of the local population. On Tuesday, he accused Azerbaijan of ethnic cleansing in Karabakh. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, Armenia and its neighbor have fought 2 wars over Nagorno Karabakh, a mountainous, landlocked region in the southwest of Azerbaijan. The 6-week war in 2020 led to several thousand deaths but enabled Azerbaijan, backed by Turkey, to recapture territory surrounding and inside the enclave. For the past 9 months, Azerbaijan has conducted an effective blockade of the only road into Karabakh from Armenia, known as the Lakan Corridor. Ethnic Armenians in the enclave complained of shortages of food, medicines, and toiletries. Some 2,000 Russian peacekeepers were supposed to monitor the ceasefire, but Moscow's interest in Armenia has waned during its war in Ukraine, even though Armenia is part of Russia's CSTO military alliance. Last May, the Armenian Prime Minister was quoted as saying his country would be ready to recognize Karabakh as part of Azerbaijan in return for the security of the ethnic Armenian population. The 86,600 square kilometers of Azerbaijan's territory includes Nagorno Karabakh, Mr. Pashinyan was quoted as saying, referring to Azerbaijan as a whole. Russia has also been annoyed by Mr. Pashinyan's apparent pivot to the west. This week, dozens of Armenian soldiers have been conducting military exercises with the U.S. military. The Kremlin has denied Armenian allegations that it did not do enough to help its ally. Hundreds of protesters in Yerevan called for the Prime Minister to resign on Tuesday because of his handling of the crisis, and he warned of unidentified forces calling for a coup.